Imagine a Roman emperor who not only watched gladiatorial contests, but also fought in them himself, wielding a sword and engaging in bloody duels. The Emperor Commodus was not just a ruler, he was a spectacle, a madman who blurred the lines between reality and fantasy. Consumed by megalomania and a thirst for power, his depraved lust for dominance would lead to his downfall, as well as the decline of the Roman Empire. Before we begin, I'd like to sincerely thank you for watching and ask that if you enjoy this video, please give it a like and subscribe, as it gives us a huge boost in the algorithm. The story of Commodus begins with his father, the Emperor General Marcus Aurelius. Considered one of the 5 good emperors, he oversaw a period of military domination and domestic peace that made him popular among the Roman people. He was considered a philosopher king, famous for his stoic wisdom and writings. In 161 AD, when Marcus Aurelius sired 2 sons, Commodus and Titus, they had big shoes to fill. This was the first time in almost 100 years that an emperor had a biological son legitimate for the throne. By all accounts, young Commodus was a handsome man with curly blonde hair. However, he appeared to possess a weak character and was easily influenced by others. He was prone to cruelty and earned a reputation for excessive behavior. For now, Commodus was not sitting on the throne, and his behavior was held in check while his father was still alive. Behind closed doors, some whispered that the young heir had signs of being a new Nero. One story of young Commodus's cruelty claims that the young prince once cast a servant into a furnace for drawing a bath that was too cold. It displayed the penchant for violence that would compel him to compete as a gladiator in the Colosseum when he went on to rule Rome. When his younger brother died, it was clear that Commodus would be the next to rule the empire. Despite violence abroad, Rome flourished under the reign of his father, and the Roman people were happy to have the son of an enlightened leader as their new emperor. Little did they know what was in store. In 180 AD, Commodus was made Emperor of Rome at 18 years of age. Despite the hopes of the people of Rome, it soon became clear that the young emperor's rule would bear little resemblance to that of his father. Commodus loathed the daily work of administration and delegated nearly all of his responsibilities to his inferiors. Corruption soon spread in the empire, as many took advantage of powerful positions with no oversight. While those under him were running the empire, Commodus opted to spend his time satisfying his violent and debaucherous whims. He executed people indiscriminately, personally making human sacrifices, and even faking an attempt on his own life to justify further executions. Commodus didn't only love killing people, he also loved naming things in his own honor. For instance, he renamed the cities of Rome and Jerusalem, as well as the names of the days of the week after himself. In 190, he issued an official edict that his rule should be called the Golden Age, and declaring himself the new Romulus, he founded the city of Rome anew under the name Colonia Commodiana, which means Colony of Commodus. Romans would henceforth be called Commodiani, and the Roman Senate became the Commodian Fortunate Senate. Commodus convinced himself that he was the reincarnation of Hercules and spent enormous sums to try and convince the rest of Rome as well. Toward that end, he removed Nero's head from the Colossus of Nero, a 100-foot bronze statue that stood near the Colosseum, and replaced it with a replica of his own head. He also equipped the statue with a club and put a bronze lion at its feet to reinforce the comparison to Hercules. Other statues of him as Hercules, dressed in animal skins and brandishing a club, were dispatched to the 4 corners of the Roman Empire. Commodus's empire eventually started to bleed gold. Because he wanted as little control of the government as possible, he passed every duty he could to others. This led to unchecked corruption and an inability to get anything done with nobody at the helm. To raise money, Commodus taxed the rich heavily and, as a result, grew to be hated by them as a betrayer of his own senatorial class. Commodus undoubtedly had a penchant for spectacle and loved the crowd and its attention. Sometimes Commodus would fight as a gladiator in the Colosseum, though it was never a fair fight. It was forbidden for the emperor to come to any real harm in the Colosseum, so he invariably won every bout. Early historian Dio Cassius writes of Commodus's gladiatorial spectacles.
He often slew large numbers of men and beasts as well. For example, all alone with his own hands, he dispatched 5 hippopotami and 2 elephants on 2 successive days, and he also killed rhinoceroses and a giraffe. On another day, he killed 100 bears, spearing them from the safety of the arena's balcony.
In one instance, he assembled a large number of men who had lost their feet, dressed them up as serpents, gave them sponges to throw at him in lieu of rocks, and clubbed them to death, pretending they were giants. Wild cripples and animals he killed without hesitation. Commodus seems to have been more careful with actual gladiators, never killing any but slicing off the occasional ear or nose. Of course, they had the good sense to let him win those matches. In all, Commodus claimed to have won some 12,000 contests in the arena, while also bragging that he had done it all left-handed. In true Roman fashion, those who opposed Commodus's rule made many attempts to have him assassinated. He survived an assassination attempt instigated by his own sister in 182, when the would-be assassin announced his intentions before his sword was out and was pounced on by guards. Commodus had him and numerous others, guilty and otherwise, murdered in retaliation. He sent his sister into exile for a brief time, then had her murdered too. 1 decade later, in 192, plotters fared better. His mistress Marcia found a list of people Commodus intended to have executed, and she discovered that she, as well as the prefects Latus and Eclectus, were on it. The 3 devised a plan to dispose of the emperor once and for all. Marcia would habitually give Commodus his first drink after his bath, so that he could have the pleasure of drinking from his lover's hand. Therefore, it was easy for her to mix poison into the wine, which she presented to Commodus. After drinking the wine, Commodus became ill and violently vomited for a period. Afraid that the emperor would expel all the poison from his body, the 3 conspirators offered a reward to Narcissus, a young wrestler as well as Commodus's trainer, to strangle him to death. Narcissus did so by holding the emperor's head underwater until he passed. Today, Commodus is known as the emperor who fought in the Colosseum, but his legacy is much larger than that. His reign marked the beginning of the downfall of Rome, as he inherited an empire of gold and left one of iron and rust. If you enjoyed this story, we would love it if you gave it a thumbs up and subscribed. If you have any questions or know anything else you'd like to share, please leave it in the comments below. We will be actively responding to all of them. Thanks for watching, and we hope you click back soon.